Oh, thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. I can't wait
Yeah,
to celebrate you.
I
We'll
know.
be doing that soon.
I'm just so excited for our team, you guys. This is just so cool. And I think we've all needed this shot in the arm. And I just really appreciate all the work you've done and, the promotions, how hard you worked. Our event last night was totally amazing. And
It was fun.
so
I tried, Karen.
I don't know why you have such a problem, Bonnie, but
I couldn't find it.
it was posted everywhere. I posted it. I said text, you know. But anyway, but it's all good. But the recording, the recording, I just have to find it and make sure I can download it and send it. So, it's going to be available for us. So I'm excited about that. So listen, Desiree, it's good to see you tonight. Kathy, good to see you. Bonnie, Lynn, and of course Gail. And we are here to do a little bit of celebrating. So as we always do, I always want to hear what's the best thing. I think it's so important that we always think about what's the best thing that's happened with our Pampered Chef business this past week. And so since Gail was on first, we're gonna have Gail go first.
Okay. Well, I actually have I've been booking some parties and I'm very excited about that. Yeah. Believe it or not, I got some parties booked. No, I've for the last couple months, I've been doing my reach outs like I know and have known for a long, long time, many years that that's the way you do a business. You have to do that. And but anyway, I've got some parties going on table. I love the new table, and it's been great. And here's the best part. And those of you that use table, you're gonna understand. I've actually booked three parties. Yesterday I booked three parties from guests in my parties.
Wow, that's
Three,
awesome.
three from three different parties, and so I'm super pumped about that. So I booked three October parties yesterday from my parties.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to have a little bit, we're going to talk with Gail about how she has come back as a director. And at the end, when we have more time, I would really like to hear a little bit more. I'm going to make you elaborate on that, okay? All right, so remind me, all right? Don't let me forget. So, so thank you, Gail. That's awesome news. Bonnie, what about you? What's the best thing that's happened to your Pampered Chef business this past week?
Um, I was able to turn in the one fundraiser, and the other one wasn't a party yet. Didn't hit 200. Monday, I got the order that hit the 200.
Excellent. That's great news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. And who was on next? Lynn, were you on next? Let's go with you.
I think, well, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm determined to become a director team this month, so I needed bookings. So I came up with a text that I sent out to all of my past hosts, unless they've recently hosted or are already scheduled. And so far, I've gotten 6 bookings for them to try table.
Yay!
So
Good
I'm going to
job.
go full table with them. So I've been working all day trying to get some host coaching and things done with that. So
Excellent. Well, let's save that some more booking talk. We'll add that little booking talk before we leave each other tonight. So awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Desiree, how about you? What's the best thing that's happened to your Pampered Chef business this past week?
I was able to get quite a bit bookings. I closed my first party,
Yay!
That's a huge
and
step.
my party that started yesterday is already at like almost 200 and something in sales.
Good.
Awesome.
So it's been a great week.
You've got to be proud of yourself. That's really cool.
I am very proud of myself.
she's been working the scavenger hunt like crazy.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
a great tool. It's a great tool.
Yes.
Great job.
so Desiree, whose team are you on?
Lynn's.
On Lynn's team? Oh, good, good.
Yes. Okay.
I was gone from home most of the week last week. She is protesting.
I see that. I see that.
She said, "You are going to be paying attention to me, Mama."
Kathy, how about you? What's the best thing that's happened to your Pampered Chef business this past week?
I've got a in-person live event coming up this weekend. I'm super excited about that because I think those do extremely well. So I've got that coming up and I cannot wait.
I've been seeing some ideas for you for there too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Great.
Mm-hmm.
And Dawn, we're so happy you could make it tonight. You must not have a party tonight. I know you're trying to book up your September.
I am home tonight and I'm so excited I get to be here.
We are excited too.
Yay.
What's the best thing that's happened to your Pamper Chef business this past week?
Our team event last night, that was so much fun, collaborating and getting customers and consultants to just come together. And I've said it to everybody I've talked to, but one of the comments was so much fun. It just felt like friends hanging out. And that it just makes my heart happy.
Yep.
It was really, really awesome. Thank you again so much for putting it together and coordinating it, Dawn. Well done. Well done.
Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, it was a great team effort. And, and that's what's really cool about it. But it does take a great coordinator. So we appreciate that. And I'm going to, I would say that too. But, and I'm also just going to talk about the marketing, I can't remember what she's actually titled it, but Kathy Cocazella has offered a marketing workshop for us for the next 4 weeks. Well, that's Friday and 3 more Fridays. And you guys, it is open to everybody. If you want ideas, marketing is where, it's where we need the exposure. If we have an issue with our business, more exposure is going to fix it, whether we need bookings or we need sales or we need new team members. So marketing is really key. So if you missed it, and I'm going to work, I'm going to make sure that the recording is shared so that you can take that and really watch it and try to do it before Friday so you're not missing 2, but really make Friday at noon a priority. And I think you're really going to be happy with that. So really put that in your calendar. We have so many great training ideas, you guys, and there's really just a lot out there for us. All right. So with that, I want to talk a little bit. But first, I just want to, again, congratulate Gail for her repromotion. And of course, it's a team effort. And so the members of her team are Daniel Cole, Kathy Cotter, Edith Trucks, Derek Welch, Lori Caver, Tanya Weber, Carol Burns, Tammy Pickett, Maria Weems, Christine Regal, Kim Key, Martha Shaw, Christy Ramsey, Tiffany McCluskey, because it is a team effort. We do it as a team. Of course, we need a good leader, and that's where Gail comes in. And I'm really excited to hear more from her. But one of the reasons I wanted to hear from Gail tonight is because, when you've been in this business a while, I am looking for, when we're in this business a while, and maybe even a couple of weeks, you find that, we have our ups and downs. Things are, sometimes tough. And some of us start off, when I started my Pamper Chef business, you guys, it was easy. And in some ways that was just not good because I didn't learn early on the challenges that many people have. So when it came to leading, I wasn't sure, some people were like, well, how do you do this? Like, I was like a deer in the headlights. I don't know how I did it. I just did it. So, but for some people, it's a little bit harder. And then you find that some people are good at some things and some people are better at other things. And the great thing about this business is that you can learn anything. So you probably have had a moment in your life where you felt knocked down and maybe you lost momentum. Maybe life got in the way. We let sometimes life get in the way, or maybe you've just lost a little bit of that fire because we've all been there. But the truth is that the success is not about falling. Success is about how sweet it is and how sweet it feels when you bounce back. And let me tell you, bouncing back to director with Pampered Chef is one of life's, greatest rewards. And one of our milestones in our Pampered Chef business is to achieve directorship. And then if something happens and you've got to come back to it to redo it like Gail has done it. But we don't talk about it enough because life does get messy. Kids, jobs, stress, self-doubt. It's easy to get out of rhythm. Maybe you had a tough month. Maybe you watched your team shrink instead of grow. Maybe you watched your bookings shrink instead of grow. Maybe sales shrunk and didn't grow. Maybe you thought, well, I can't do this or I can't get back to where I was. It's really important that you understand that is totally normal. The powerful truth is you're never out of the game unless you decide to stop playing. All right. Every setback sets you up for a stronger comeback. And I remember when I earned, when I reached my $1 million in sales, and we have a couple of people here have reached $1 million in sales. I remember people saying, well, how did you do it? Well, I just didn't quit. I mean, it was just inevitable. If you keep going one step after the other, you're going to get there, right? So bouncing back isn't just about willpower. It's about making small decisions daily. And I really do try to harp on the consistency of a daily business. You've got to pick up the phone again. You've got to make that one more message. You've got to book one more show. You want to share the opportunity with one more person. Each of those choices is a bounce back. And before you know it, those bounces are going to lift you higher than you were before. So with the Pampered Chef, the director title is that sweet spot where all your effort pays off. It's the moment you realize that I did it. I came back. I came back stronger and I didn't quit. And now I get to reap the rewards. So let's talk for a second just about what makes being a director so rewarding. For me, it's the title itself. Pampered Chef set it up that you're a leader. You're a builder, and it shows that you're a leader and a builder, and someone that other people look up to. The financial rewards mean you're earning more, you're stacking bonuses, and you're building real income. You know, I mean, does anybody notice that your Pampered Chef paycheck spend is just like anybody else's? And of course, the recognition, hearing your name celebrated by your peers and feeling that pride. But most importantly, it's the people, your team, your community, and the lives that you've impacted just by deciding not to give up. So let's think about this. Don't ever let a setback define you, no matter how big, no matter how little. Let it redefine you. Director isn't just a title. It's a symbol of persistence, of leadership, and of heart. And when you bounce back to it, you're going to discover that the victory tastes sweeter than it did the first time. And of course, that's true when you're achieving it the first time too. So ask yourself, are you ready for that sweetness? Are you ready to feel that rush of pride, the sigh of relief, the explosion of joy when you can say, I did it. I did it, or I bounced back, and I am back to being a Pampered Chef director, or I am a Pampered Chef director. That moment isn't just possible, it's waiting for you, and it's going to be so sweet, I promise you. And I think Dawn can attest to that, and I think that Gail can attest to that, and I know that a couple of you are going to feel it pretty soon. So really, really great. So I would like to turn our discussion over to Gail. And Gail, you know, you have been with Pampered Chef since 2009.
No, longer than that.
Is it 2000? Oh, I'm sorry.
2006.
2006.
I believe.
I
got a picture there.
I'm trying to go by my memory. 2006, right. And
19 years.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it amazing how fast time has gone?
Mm-hmm.
You are $1 million achiever, and you have helped 198 people start a Pampered Chef business. So when you think about that, what's your first thought?
Like, I can't believe it really when I look back at that, because it's like, well, first of all, the 19 years have gone by so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I hear that, when somebody actually says that out loud, I mean, I'll read it on the screen or whatever, but when you just said that out loud, I'm like, I did that. You know, it's hard to believe really, because especially when I think back to the very beginning when Maureen recruited me, and back then we didn't have this for training. We had the telephone, and Maureen, she mailed things to me all the time. She mailed me all kinds of materials and outlines, and you know, and we would talk. We talked daily, I guess, at the beginning. And I do want to explain to the people that don't know the connection that Maureen and I have. Maureen is my husband's first cousin, but at the time when we met, Jim and I had not gotten married yet. We'd been seeing each other for a little bit, and I went to Michigan with him. See, because I live in Tennessee, Maureen's in Michigan. And Karen, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember Karen had a training call one time that I had just signed up, and I got on there, and she was asking who our upline was, and I said Maureen Kimmel, and she's like, "And you're where?" And I said, "In Tennessee." And she said, "How'd that happen?"
It
was
didn't
really
happen
funny.
back then.
No,
Changed,
you
yeah.
know. So, but anyway, that's how I got started. But Maureen is, she's been an awesome mentor for me, and she's just, as far as a recruiter, Maureen is amazing. She recruits everywhere she goes all the time, so my first training calls with her, of course, she always talked about, sharing the business, and I just flat out told her at the beginning. I said, "Well, Maureen, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm just going to sell for a little while because I was just needing money." I was recently divorced at that time. I had two teenage boys at home, and I needed extra cash. I was a school teacher, and teachers don't have the largest income, so that was the reason I was starting. And I had no clue about sharing the business. Didn't really want to, until it was explained to me a little bit later that when you don't share the business, you're actually being selfish because you're keeping it to yourself, something that could be a great opportunity for someone else. So, but anyway, that's that, but now when I look and you said 198, I mean, I'm just like, whoa.
Pretty impressed with yourself, aren't you? You could be.
Yeah, that's quite a few. Wish that I still had them all, but but it was, Pampered Chef is a good fit for some people for a long time, like it has been for me and Karen and Dawn, but some people it's good for a season or two, and there's not anything wrong with that.
Absolutely.
So,
I'd like to go back to just something that you mentioned, and you mentioned the word selfish, and I know that sometimes when we talk about that, it kind of steps on some people's toes. When you first heard that, and somebody's got some background noise going on, you might want to mute yourself out. When somebody might have mentioned that to you, did you accept that, or did that step on your toes a little bit?
It didn't really step on my toes. It just made me think. I was like, wow, I'd never really thought about it that way. But when you're keeping it all to yourself, you're not sharing that opportunity with someone else that might really need it in their life. And so it really changed my attitude toward recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, but it didn't step on my toes really, because I hadn't really ever thought about it in that way. Awesome. It's not something we're doing to somebody when we recruit. It's something that we're, just sharing with them, just like you're having a conversation, and
we're doing for them,
because you don't know what they need or what they might be interested in.
Excellent. Let's go back. How long did you teach full time and do Pampered Chef on the side?
Okay, let's see. I think I did start Pampered Chef in 2006. I know it was in August, and the reason I signed up was because Maureen, we were at a family reunion in Michigan, and she shared with me that she'd been talking to me before, that was not the first time I had met her, but she said, we've got this great promotion, and you can get these 2 knives for free if you sign up. And I was like, really? And so I was like, oh yeah, because it was like the chef's knife and the big. We used to have the 5-inch Sentoku knife, and I think it was those 2. I got those for free, and and I was like, oh gosh, what have I done? Because I signed up, I think like July 31st or something like that, and then I was getting ready to start back to school in Tennessee. We started like second or third week of August, but I had a party before I started back to school, so got my launch party done. But so yeah, I had still taught. I retired in 2012, so 6 more years, I guess.
Yes, well,
6 or 7 years.
That time has gone fast too, because I remember when you retired, and I also remember you were Teacher of the Year.
Yeah, I was one time.
What did you teach?
I taught primary ed. At one time or another, I taught kindergarten. I taught first, second, and then my last 4 years, I taught third and fourth grade. And we called it looping. I had the kids in third grade and moved with the same group of students up to fourth grade. So I had the same group of students for 2 years, which it was wonderful. And my best friend, Helen, so you may remember Helen, Karen. She came to a conference with me the very first year I came to conference. But anyway, she and I did team teaching. And so it was a great fit, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm. So when you started with Pampered Chef, I kind of want to go right back to the very beginning, because I think it's important for us to remember how new consultants feel. And when you started, did you have any concerns? I mean, were apprehensive, or were you pretty much gung-ho?
Of course, yeah. I mean, as far as getting, because back then, I won't say back then, we only had 2 kinds of parties, and it wasn't virtual. We either went to do a cooking show or we did a catalog party. That's all we had. And so I was having to go to people's houses and cook. Of course, my launch party I did at my own house. My mother was hosting supposedly, and she lived next door to me, and so she had you know she invited all of the neighbors, and it ended up being a pretty good party. Seems like it was around $700 party, and I was thrilled for my first one.
Back then, that was a nice big party.
So it got off to a good start, but then school started, and so then I had to work it out how I was going to do parties. And of course, I called on my best friends. Helen, I think, hosted my second one, and I think we only had like 3 people, but and she didn't even cook. She still doesn't cook. So, but she had a party. But I just started, calling on friends and friends and family and people that I knew at church or whatever. And so you just have to look at all the outlets.
Now you mentioned you started for a little bit of extra money. Is that the reason you stay with Pampered Chef?
It has been the reason. Of course, I'm old now. I'm getting that little Social Security check, which helps. I also have my pension from teaching, so I'm not doing it so much for the money now. Of course, the money's good. I'm not going to turn it down, but no, not so much. Now I'm just doing it because I love it. And
why do you love it?
This is what's going to make me cry. Because of all of you guys.
And when we can get comments like we did last night for the event, and everybody sees that, it's just so much to be proud of. And I'm just going to say, I'll let you recover a little bit. I'm just going to say, okay. I wish you could all, if you could see from my vantage point, all of you, and how wonderful it is. I would love for that for you. I would love for you to have that for your team, because it is just so wonderful to be able. I'm not a mom, but if you were all my, you would. I know how you feel proud of your kids, and that's how you would feel. Maybe a little bit different level. I'm not gonna, but you would feel that pride, for all of your people on your team and who you meet too. So that's awesome. That's awesome, Gail. So, all right. So then let's just say something happened. Well, you've had a lot of life things going on. You've had a lot, and you still do, actually, because you're in that sandwich generation.
Still going through some things, but
where you're taking care of your mom now. You lost your dad.
Mom's in assisted living now, but last year was, of course, even before 2023, I was still trying to do some cooking shows, and mom and dad was not well at all, and he would call me. I know one particular cooking show I did with a friend. Thank goodness she was somebody that knew me well. And but I got 3 phone calls in the middle of my demo. 3 different ones from him. He had a like a pump for an antibiotic that he was having to take, and it was messing up. And he, of course, he was just calling me. And even though I said, Dad, I'm at a party, I'll call you back. I said, you call the other number that's on there, that for help. But he wouldn't do that, of course. So, but he was very sick. And then last year in 2024, last day of January, we had to put him in the hospital. He had infection in his foot. Had been fighting that for several years, and so but he spent 2 months in the hospital till his his Medicare ran out, and they said, okay, he's gonna have to go somewhere else. But we couldn't take him home because he couldn't get up. I couldn't do it. Mom definitely couldn't do it, and my mother's memory was not real good either, and so we knew that things were coming down. Dad was 90, and he made it a couple more months in like an assisted living thing. But we got Mom in there too, which was kind of a hidden blessing, the fact that he was sick and we had to put him there. And so Mom went with him, of course. But the 2 months prior to that, though, while he was in the hospital, we were making trips to Knoxville. I'm about 25 miles down the road from Knoxville to go visit the hospital every day because Mom insisted we had to go. Plus, I kept her here, or I would keep her like 3 days, and then my brother would keep her 2 or 3 days. We flip-flopped her back and forth. We did that for 2 months. And it was rough. And you just doing that, and it just wears you out physically and mentally.
It does. And you've got grandkids. When I talk about
I also have 6 grandchildren. And if you hear noises, it's Jim trying to keep the 2 boys quiet right now because they're 7-year-old and 9-year-old. I babysit usually a couple of days out of the week. for
So,
them.
so
Yeah.
I know you tried really, you tried as well as you could with what you had going on to keep your
Right.
directorship, and it
And
probably felt terrible to lose that.
yeah, but really I wasn't even thinking about losing my directorship. I was just trying to, keep my head above water with everything. And but dad passed last June of 24. He passed on the day after my birthday. And so then we had all that, and then I had to deal with mom, and which was even more difficult. But things have smoothed out some. We've got her in a different facility, and actually they just did move her to memory care side, so she's declining more, but it's okay because she's being well taken care of, and but anyway.
Then you took your step-by-step approach to come back to directorship.
I did, and honestly, all last year, up until I'm just going to be honest with you guys, really until this past summer, when I realized, last fall I hit my million. And that was a kind of thing. And I started thinking, okay, Gail, are you going to go to conference? Because I hadn't been to conference in, I think this would have been 3 years I would have missed if I hadn't gone. And I thought, am I going to go? And so I talked to Maureen. I was like, are you going to go? And she goes, well, I'll go if you'll go. so, so I was like, okay, well, I think I'm going to, just because I want to get my watch. And and the recognition is nice, I remember when I first started this business, I never knew anything about recognition, because teachers, we didn't get much recognition, ever. And so, with Pampered Chef, it's a totally different world. And but I thought, I think I will. And so I signed up as soon as we could, in the spring, and got our tickets.
And then
all
what
that.
else about conference? I'm gonna.
Well, that's what I was leading up to here, because when I got with you all, and I mean, I hadn't seen any of you guys, any of my PC friends, for a couple of years, because I hadn't gone to conference and I had not earned a trip. And so when I saw y'all and hung out with y'all, and and I have to thank Lynn right now, because she saved the day. Before I left, they canceled my flight for me to come home, and I had nowhere to stay. I'd already checked out of my hotel, and they were full for the night anyway. So I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I called Lori, because I knew they were staying another night. They weren't leaving until Sunday. And Lori's like, hang on. She goes, let me call you right back. I think I might have somebody. So that's when she called Lynn. Lynn had a room by herself. And so she let me bunk on her couch bed, sleep a pull-out bed thing in the room. And Lynn, thank you so much for that. But it was kind of a nightmare. But anyway, we know how that goes, right, Karen? We hardly ever. Do you fly American? I don't think I'm ever going to fly American again.
When I say the same thing about Delta, so I'm not sure it really matters.
It's cheaper. But the friendships that I have made through Pampered Chef have meant the world to me, and that's the whole reason that after I came back from conference, I prayed a lot about it, and I thought, if God wants me to stay and just do my business but not be a director, I'll just do that, because I was fine with that. But if this is not a sign, I'd been recruiting people off and on since I lost my directorship, and they would hang around for a few months, but then by the time I got somebody else, to get, because you have to have 5 new people all active in the same month, plus you have to hit the 5,000. And but I kept recruiting. No, I used to hit the 5,000 by myself.
You almost did, I mean, you had a good month too.
I did, but I still had to have those 5 new people, and so. But anyway, I was just like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And so before I found out my flight was canceled, Maureen and I were sitting at the Hyatt out there in front of the little snack bar and tables. We were just sitting out there waiting, because our flights were later. And this lady came and sat down, and we just sort of struck up a conversation with her. And she was really sweet. Her name was Martha. And we just talked. She was from Texas, and she was there for some kind of little beauty pageant her niece was in for special needs girls. And so anyway, we just talked a long time, and she was killing time. But we started, of course, we told Maureen was really actually doing most of the talking at first, and because she's the she's the recruiter. And so she went ahead and told her about Pampered Chef. And so, yeah, she was interested. She loved those products. She was going to get some of those products. And so then, of course, we told her, well, the way you can get lots of them is, become a consultant. And she's like, oh, really? And, I'm sitting there knowing that we had that 25%, discount from conference. And so, anyway, long story short, Maureen's flight left and mine didn't. And so I'm left with Martha. So we signed her up right there waiting. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a sign. And then got back in August. I do have an annual fundraiser with the Sevier County Humane Society. I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And I knew I had that one coming up. And I had another one with Alzheimer's Tennessee. So I had a couple of good ones, really. But my Humane Society is always top notch. It's usually a couple grand. And so we hit $2,800 in sales on that one. So that was a big help. But it still had to all line up, and it did.
Well, when God gives you the tools and
Yep.
gives you the ability,
Yep.
it's up to us to use our abilities to the best of our
That's right.
knowledge. Yeah.
That is so true, Karen. That's so true.
And and Gail, I listened to your story, and I see the faces on the screen, and we all have, after 33 years, is it 27 for you, Dawn? 27. And Kathy, is it 19 for you, Kathy? How many for you? You put your fingers in.
6.
Oh, 6. I thought, I'm making you older.
No.
But everybody has had a story, and we get through it together. We really do get through it together. And so, how does it feel to be back, Gail?
It feels wonderful. And I'm just so excited to get back at it. And like I said, I'm doing what I have to do, because I have to start at the bottom and start making all those calls, those reach outs that we don't like to do. But that's the basis of our business, and we have to do it no matter at what level we are. And so
we get to do that. We get to get to.
Yes. We get to do that. Yeah. But
it's a blessing and a pleasure.
Yes, and so far, I've really been using some of the ideas that I'm getting from that accountability group. I'm using some of those words and things, and they are working. So, but another thing that I will have to say that I did do consistently is I've had a Cooking with Gail group on Facebook for, I don't even know how many years I've been doing that, since we started using Facebook. I guess I started it pretty soon. I have a business page and I have my group, and I did not stop doing that. Now, there might have been a few weeks I did not cook, but most of the time I consistently did my live demo every Wednesday evening. I cook dinner, and it's not anything special and it's not anything fancy. I just get in the kitchen and I'm myself, and I mess up. I drop things in the floor. It's just real world, real life, real cooking. But I have a good following on there. And another thing I kept doing also was I had a group of senior citizens in a little town not too far away, about 30, 40 minutes away. And I have been doing demos with them once a month for probably the last 3 or 4 years. And I met them through a party. I met the director of there through a party. And so that's been, it's not big sales at all. Some months I would go and nobody would order anything, and that's okay, but it'd be about 6, 8, 10 people there, and they would just have the best time, and they just loved to come because I was cooking lunch.
You're bringing joy to their life.
Right.
And it was not always about the money. It's certainly not all.
No, it's definitely not all about the money.
Well, do any of you have questions for Gail at this point? Any questions from you, Lynn, as you reach your goal?
How would you do it?
A lot of prayer, Lynn. A lot of prayer.
Yeah.
And just, but just seeing you guys, you all were so such a motivation for me to get me back, get my head back on straight, basically. Mm-hmm. Dawn's had a few talks with me. and it definitely helps. And and Karen has too, Maureen. you
Yeah.
know, but just all it just everybody, and it's just
And your
the
husband is so
camaraderie.
proud of you. Jim is so proud of you.
But you know, he's like Gail. He says, if you want to do it, you do it. If you don't want to do it, it's okay. Whatever, you know, it's your decision. But I know he does miss the trips.
We miss him on the trips. We miss you both.
Brad misses him probably.
Yes, he does.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Gail.
You're quite welcome.
We're so proud of you. We're really excited. So with that, I would like to hear a little bit more about how did you turn some of those guest orders into bookings through Table?
Oh, from
trying
Table?
to learn Table. We're all trying to feel like, you know, it's all new. Everything's new.
Well, you know, I've been using Table since they started it. You know, what's been 3 years ago or whatever. I jumped right then. And I did not go back to doing Facebook parties ever. I've not ever used Facebook as a gateway. I've not done any of that. I just strictly did Table. And it's come a long way. It's so much better now, so much better. But as far as getting bookings, you have to communicate with your guest through text. And I have some text messages that I saved on Project Broadcast that I send to I don't always do it. I'll just say sometimes, you know, the parties, you know, it's either not good or, you know, they don't answer you or whatever. But with my new outlook here, I'm trying to do everything correctly. And so I'm sending those guest texts. And it's just, you know, it's not anything much, but I did have one that I sent. The one that got the bookings was on Friday. I sent one that said something along the lines of, you know, thanks for being part of Susie's party. If you've already placed your order, thank you so very much. You know, something like that. If you haven't, you know, the party's going to be open. I gave them some specifics. It's going to be open for 2 more days or whatever. And but another way that you can help Susie is by booking your own party. And I can't remember exactly what else it said, but anyway, it's just an ask. You know, would you like to do that? Would you like to help her out? And so it actually worked. I mean, I got one. I was like, oh wow, because I used to use this one. I tweaked it a little bit from what I used to do, but I got the first one. I was like, oh wow, that one it worked, you know. And then a few minutes later,
about Dawn, you know, there's something we did and it worked. For some reason, we stopped and then we started doing it again.
I know. And then it was probably maybe an hour later, I got another blurb back from Project Broadcast. I was like, oh. And then here's another one, but it was a different party. And I was like, okay, that's good, you know. And then another one finally last night I got, and she said, I'm going to place my order by tonight or tomorrow for Carrie's party or whatever. And she said, but I do want to book a party. I do want to do a party for her. Because in my message, it says something about that it helps your host, you know, to get some more reward, you know. And she says, I want to do one for her. And I said, okay, great.
That's awesome. That's great news. That's great news. And
so I think the key is just communicating with them, you know, because sometimes I don't think they even understand, you know, what having a party is exactly. But I really think now that they're getting in Table and seeing how easy this new platform is, I think they're liking it better. But there's still no interaction on there, none. I mean, but I said I don't care if there's any interaction as long as they join, they purchase. If they book, then that's what we want.
Well, when you quit comparing it to Facebook, you know,
can't do that.
Yeah, you can't. So, well, thanks a lot, Gail. So, Linda, tell us how you did your bookings. How did you get all the bookings?
I just created a post or a text that I send out to past hosts saying something like, you know, because you've hosted with me in the past, I would appreciate your opinion. You know, there's a new party platform. What else did I put in there? A little bit about a table, and then you know, if you'll do it, I'll give you a free fall gift. So there was bribery involved.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? If you both would just take a second and maybe share your exact words and put it on the thread of this meeting and share that, that would be really, really helpful. I see Dawn shaking, and we want to know what you said. So,
do you want it in here, or do you want it in Team Halo?
And the thread and Team Halo, please.
Okay.
You know, yeah, under here. So with that, anyone else want to add anything about bookings or any questions? I think the bottom line is you just have to reach out, right? Are you making those 10 contacts a day, 10 two-way contacts a day? Going back to the 5-day hard challenge.
Well, and it's like I said earlier today when we were talking, Karen, not just doing it when you need bookings, but creating a habit of that. So you always have, and Kathy talks about that in the networking call, you always have plenty of people coming into your funnel. So you're not always going back to the same people. You've got new people coming into your funnel by doing those contacts, and you're creating momentum in your business.
And you know what, Dawn, what kind of passed through my mind when you said that is that when we're reaching out because we need bookings, it's kind of about us.
That's right.
When you're reaching out consistently when you don't really need them, it's really about them. And you're really, showing that. And it kind of goes out. I mean, I kind of, it's the aura of that you are. I have to tell you that I realize that when I do my booth, I'm working the booth and I'm not getting bookings. I remember when I always did my live parties that I went to every show with 3 booking packets, and I felt like I was prepared to book. And if I am not going to my booth with booking packets ready, I'm not really prepared to book. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to just kind of create that aura, that feeling of business is going to come to me and am I prepared for it?
Well, and say what you're going to get. Many a times driving to my parties, this is going to be $1,000 party. I'm booking everybody in the room. And guess what? That's what happens. But if you're like,
is that how that
go to this
Dawn?
party tonight, this host is driving me insane. Nobody's going to be there. They're not going to buy anything. Guess what? It's exactly what you get.
When I was doing cooking parties a lot, Jim always, he'd help me, put my stuff in the car or whatever. And he'd be standing in the garage and I'd be backing up. He'd say, okay, I'll see you after a while. He says, how many bookings you going to get? He would ask me and I'd say, I'm going for 3. He goes, how much sales are we going to do? I mean, because I had told him about that, we had talked about that before, but he used to always remind me of that. And I was like, so maybe I need to get him reminded me of that again.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm not actually doing many cooking parties anymore, but on any of them.
I like what Desiree just posted. You've got to speak what you want to manifest. It's so true. And
power of positivity.
We talked a little bit last week. I don't remember where I talked with it about, but how many of you could use $100? Is there anybody that could use $100?
Yep.
Do you know that every time you reach out to somebody, when you do those 10 two-way contacts, that is a possibility of $100 in your pocket? Because when they book a party, that's probably what you're going to make. So think about that. Think about every time you reach out, that could be $100. So anyway, well, I think this has been a great discussion. Does anybody have any other questions or anything they'd like to comment on before we go? Are you excited to see stuffed green peppers tonight? I'll bet they'll be using
I'm going to make them tomorrow.
Are you? I'll bet they'll be using that peppercorn. What do you think?
Your favorite product.
I'm gonna think about you, Karen, with that stuff, with that pepper thing. I'm gonna try to use it tomorrow night. I'm gonna have to practice though.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for great workshop. We can go grab a drinky poo and get ready for the Home Kitchen Live.
Great job, Gail.
So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
You too.
You too, Bonnie.